Most men misunderstand desire because they interpret intimacy through their own lens. They assume attraction is primarily visual, physical, and immediate. If she loves me, if she finds me attractive, if the relationship is stable, then naturally she should want sex and initiate it. But female desire often operates through a different doorway. For many women, desire is not switched on by appearance alone. It is activated by emotional safety. Now, emotional safety does not mean weakness. It does not mean endless reassurance or a life without challenge. It means the nervous system can relax. It means she feels secure enough to be open, expressive, and vulnerable. Desire requires vulnerability. To initiate sex is to reveal hunger, to risk rejection, to expose longing. If a woman does not feel emotionally safe, that part of her often stays guarded. Think about this deeply. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows the emotional environment. If resentment is building, if communication is tense, if she feels unseen, criticized, dismissed, or emotionally alone, her body often receives that as threat. Not danger in the dramatic sense, but danger in the relational sense. And when the mind detects threat, it prioritizes protection over pleasure. This is where many men make a costly mistake. They focus on the symptom instead of the source. They complain that she never initiates. They track frequency. They wonder what happened to the spark. But they fail to examine the climate they are helping create every single day. Ask yourself, when she speaks, does she feel heard? When she shares stress, does she feel partnered or managed? When conflict happens, does she feel respected or overpowered? When she enters the room, does she feel valued or merely expected to perform a role? These questions matter more than most people realize because intimacy does not begin in the bedroom. It begins in ordinary moments. A woman who feels emotionally secure often becomes more playful, more expressive, more spontaneous. Why? Because energy that once went into self-protection can now go into connection. When the armor comes off, desire can breathe, and understand this distinction. Safety is not the same as predictability. Many men become overly agreeable, passive, and dull in the name of being safe. That is not attractive either. Emotional safety is created when strength and steadiness meet warmth and respect. It is the presence of reliability without emotional coldness. It is confidence without domination. It is leadership without control. This is why some men are confused. They think, I provide, I stay loyal, I do my part. Why isn't she initiating? Because provision alone does not create emotional intimacy. Functionality is not the same as connection. A household can run efficiently while a relationship slowly starves. So what do? You become more conscious of the emotional atmosphere you bring into the relationship. You regulate your reactions. You listen without instantly fixing. You appreciate specifically, not generically. You handle conflict with maturity. You create moments of attention without needing something in return. You become someone whose presence lowers stress instead of increasing it. And something powerful happens when a woman feels safe in that environment. She no longer has to brace herself. She no longer has to calculate every emotional cost. She can return to instinct, warmth, and sensuality. Initiation then becomes natural because desire is no longer fighting against tension. Now let me be clear. No one owes anyone initiation. You cannot manipulate genuine desire out of another human being, but you can cultivate the conditions where desire has room to emerge. That is the difference between forcing a flower open and nourishing the soil. The deeper truth is this. Many people want passion while neglecting the psychology that makes passion possible. They chase the fire while pouring water on it daily through impatience, neglect, and emotional carelessness. If you want more intimacy, become the kind of partner with whom intimacy feels safe, alive, and welcome. Desire grows where trust lives. Another truth many men overlook is that desire does not exist in isolation from daily life. It is not some magical switch a woman can flip on command at the end of a long day. Desire lives inside the body, and the body responds to pressure, stress, fatigue, and emotional overload. If you want to understand why she does not initiate, you must first understand what stress does to the human mind. When a person is under chronic pressure, the brain shifts priorities. It becomes focused on management, survival, efficiency, problem solving. Bills need paying, deadlines need meeting. Children need attention, family issues need handling, messages need answering, tasks keep stacking. In that state, the nervous system is not asking, how can I experience pleasure? It is asking, how do I get through this? This is where many relationships silently suffer. A man sees the absence of sexual initiative and interprets it personally. He thinks, she is no longer attracted to me. She does not care. Something is wrong with us. Sometimes the issue is not rejection at all. Sometimes she is mentally carrying 20 invisible weights and desire is buried underneath them. You must understand the concept of cognitive load. The mind has limited bandwidth. When that bandwidth is consumed by responsibilities, there is little space left for spontaneity, flirtation, or erotic energy. A woman may care deeply for her partner and still feel too mentally crowded to access desire. Love can be present while libido is temporarily inaccessible. This is especially important because many women carry what psychologists call the mental load of relationships and households. Remembering schedules, anticipating needs, tracking details, noticing what is missing, planning ahead, managing emotional harmony. Much of this labor is invisible because it happens internally. There may be no dramatic sign of exhaustion, yet internally she feels constantly on. Now think about what initiation requires. It requires energy. It requires playfulness. It requires attention moving away from duty and toward pleasure. If someone has been operating in task mode all day, shifting into sensual mode is not automatic. It is a transition. And many couples never create that transition. Instead, they spend the day disconnected, stressed, distracted, then expect passion to appear on cue at night. That is like sprinting all day and expecting the body to instantly meditate the moment you sit down. Human beings do not work that way. So what is the solution? It begins with maturity. Stop viewing intimacy as separate from partnership. How you live together influences how you love together. If she is overwhelmed, step in before being asked. Share responsibility without performing it for credit. Notice what needs doing. Become a source of support. Not another item on her list. This is not about chores as a transaction. Many men misunderstand this and think, if I help more, sex should increase. That mindset fails because it turns contribution into bargaining. Real partnership is attractive because it reduces burden, builds respect, and creates emotional spaciousness. Spaciousness is where desire can return. Second, help create decompression rituals. A walk after dinner, phones away for an hour, laughter in the kitchen, physical affection with no agenda. Calm conversation, presence. These moments tell the nervous system it is safe to shift gears. Desire often needs a runway, not a command. Third, protect your own energy as well. Stress is contagious. If you bring irritability, chaos, or emotional heaviness into the home, you amplify the pressure already there. Two dysregulated people rarely create intimacy. Someone must lead the emotional tone, and maturity means learning to lead without controlling. There is also a philosophical truth here. People cannot offer what they have no access to. If her inner world is consumed by tension, asking for passion without addressing pressure is asking for fruit from exhausted soil. And notice something profound. When stress decreases, affection often returns before sexuality does. More touch, more softness, more humor, more eye contact. These are signs the system is reopening. Respect them, nurture them. Do not rush straight to demands for more. Many men want the outcome of desire while ignoring the conditions that sustain it. But conditions always win. Biology listens to environment. Emotion listens to reality. Attraction listens to how life feels. So if she is not initiating, do not only ask what is missing in the bedroom. Ask what is happening in the day. Ask what weight is being carried in silence. Ask whether your relationship feels like refuge or another responsibility. Because when pressure rules the mind, passion goes quiet. Remove the burden, and you may rediscover the woman who was there all along. One of the most common mistakes men make is assuming that initiation has only one language. They imagine it must look obvious, direct, unmistakable. Someone verbally asking for sex, making an aggressive move, taking clear physical control. If that does not happen, they conclude she never initiates. But often the issue is not absence, it is misinterpretation. Human beings express desire through patterns shaped by personality, upbringing, confidence, culture, and past experience. Some people are bold and explicit, others are subtle and indirect. Some communicate through words, others communicate through energy, attention, touch, or invitation. If you only recognize one form of initiation, you may miss many signals standing right in front of you. This matters because many women are socialized differently around sexuality. From an early age, some are taught to be cautious, modest, measured, even passive. They may carry internal conflicts about wanting to be desired while fearing judgment for expressing desire too openly. So instead of initiating in a blunt style, they often test the waters through softer cues. She lingers near you longer than necessary. She touches your arm repeatedly. She becomes playful at night. She changes into something intentional. She asks if you are coming to bed. She leans in, holds eye contact, sits closer, brushes against you in passing. These behaviors may seem small, but psychologically they can be invitations. They are often saying, "I'm open, meet me halfway." Now here is the problem. Many men dismiss subtlety because they want certainty. They want a clear green light with no ambiguity. That desire is understandable. But relationships do not always operate in the language of certainty, especially in intimate dynamics. People often communicate through nuance. If you lack sensitivity, you misread nuance as nothing, then resentment grows. He thinks, she never initiates. She thinks, I've tried many times and he never notices. Both people feel unseen, and both narratives seem true from their own perspective. This is why emotional intelligence matters. Attraction is not only about strength or confidence, it is also about perception. Can you read the room? Can you notice shifts in mood, energy, body language, timing? Can you distinguish between disinterest and reserved interest? The man who develops this skill responds more effectively, and the relationship becomes smoother. There is another layer here. Some women do not initiate because previous attempts were ignored, mocked, or mishandled. Perhaps she reached out subtly and was met with distraction. Perhaps she was vulnerable and the moment was turned into a joke. Perhaps her style was never acknowledged. When bids for connection repeatedly fail, people stop bidding. This principle extends beyond sex. In psychology, relationships thrive when small bids for attention are recognized and reciprocated. A smile answered. A touch returned, a playful comment engaged. These tiny moments create trust. When trust grows, initiative grows with it. So what should you do? First, broaden your definition of initiation. Stop expecting only dramatic gestures. Pay attention to patterns. Notice when she becomes softer, flirtier, physically closer, more present. Those shifts often matter more than words. Second, reward vulnerability with presence. If she reaches in any sincere way, meet it warmly. Do not interrogate it. Do not act suspicious. Do not punish it with passivity. Respond with grounded confidence. Third, communicate openly. Ask with curiosity, not accusation. What does initiating look like for you? That one question can unlock years of misunderstanding. She may tell you she thought she was initiating all along. Fourth, create safety for directness. If every intimate interaction carries pressure or performance expectations, subtle communication becomes safer than explicit communication. But when warmth, humor, and acceptance exist, people become bolder. There is a philosophical lesson here. We often suffer not because reality withholds from us, but because our perception is too narrow to receive what is already being offered. Many men are starving beside a full table because they only recognize one kind of nourishment. And understands clarity. Subtle does not mean weak. Indirect does not mean uninterested. Different does not mean absent. Mature love requires translation. If you want more connection, become fluent in the language your partner actually speaks, not only the one you prefer. Desire is often whispering long before it ever learns to shout. There is a force that quietly destroys desire in many relationships, and it is not age, routine, or even time. It is pressure. Pressure disguised as neediness, criticism, resentment, entitlement, or emotional dependency. The moment intimacy stops feeling like a free expression of connection and starts feeling like an obligation, attraction begins to erode. This is difficult for many men to hear because they often believe persistence shows desire, and desire should be flattering. But psychologically, there is a profound difference between being wanted and being burdened. Being wanted feels energizing. Being burdened feels heavy. One invites closeness, the other creates distance. When a man repeatedly communicates, directly or indirectly, that his emotional state depends on her sexual spontaneity, she begins carrying more than her own feelings. She begins carrying his unmet needs, his insecurity, his frustration, his sense of validation. That weight can suffocate desire. Think about the paradox here. The more someone feels responsible for managing your emotional stability, the less free they feel around you. And freedom is a major ingredient of attraction. Desire needs room, it needs choice, it needs the feeling that closeness is invited, not extracted. This is why criticism is so destructive in intimate life. A man says, "You never want me, you used to care. Why do I always have to initiate?" He may believe he is expressing pain, but what she often hears is accusation. Instead of opening desire, criticism activates defensiveness, guilt, and pressure. The conversation becomes about failure, not connection. Neediness creates a similar dynamic. Neediness is not the same as having needs. Healthy adults have needs. Neediness is when your center of emotional gravity lives outside yourself. It is when you seek from another person what only self-respect, purpose, discipline, and internal stability can provide. No partner wants to become the sole regulator of another adult's worth. And here is the hidden truth. Many men ask for intimacy when what they really crave is reassurance. They want to feel chosen, significant, powerful, lovable. Those are human desires. But when sex becomes the only route to those feelings, it places enormous pressure on the relationship. The act becomes overloaded with meaning, then every rejection feels catastrophic. Every delay feels personal. Every dry spell becomes evidence of failure. This emotional intensity makes spontaneity nearly impossible. So, what is the alternative? Strength with openness. You can express desire without collapsing into demand. You can communicate needs without blame. You can want deeply while remaining emotionally grounded. That means building a life larger than the relationship. Purpose, fitness, friendships, growth standards. When a man has structure in his own life, he stops squeezing the relationship for all nourishment. He comes to intimacy full, not starving. It also means changing how you communicate disappointment. Instead of accusation, use truth. Instead of "you never want me," say "I miss feeling close to you." Instead of pressure, invite conversation. Instead of tracking who initiated last, discuss what helps both of you feel connected. Mature communication reduces tension. Immature communication multiplies it. Another critical point. Resentment is desire poison. If small frustrations pile up unspoken, they leak out through sarcasm, passive aggression, withdrawal, coldness. You may think the issue is sex, when the real issue is unresolved emotional debt. Clear the debt, and warmth often returns. There is a philosophical principle at work here. Anything coerced loses vitality. Joy forced becomes duty. Generosity forced becomes compliance. Intimacy forced becomes performance. Real attraction cannot be negotiated through pressure, because attraction is an experience of freedom. Now, this does not mean suppress your desires or pretend indifference. False detachment is just another form of manipulation. It means becoming secure enough to desire without clinging, to communicate without demanding, to receive without controlling. When a woman feels she can say yes freely, that yes has energy. When she feels she cannot say no safely, even a yes becomes empty. Men who understand this stop chasing compliance and start cultivating genuine connection, so examine the emotional atmosphere you create. Do people feel expanded around you or cornered by you? Do they feel invited or obligated? Do they feel warmth or weight? Because the fastest way to lose desire is to make it a debt. The fastest way to restore it is to make it a choice. Many men ask how to get more desire from their partner, while ignoring a harder but more valuable question: who have I become inside this relationship? Because attraction is not sustained by words alone. It responds to energy, behavior, presence, and character. In the beginning, novelty can create momentum. Over time, reality takes over, and reality asks a simple question: are you still someone compelling to be close to? This is where confidence, presence, and partnership become powerful forces. Not confidence as arrogance, noise, or domination. Real confidence is calm certainty. It is emotional steadiness. It is the ability to handle life without collapsing into panic, bitterness, or dependence. A confident man does not need to announce himself. His behavior communicates it. Why does this matter? Because the nervous system responds to stability. People are drawn toward those who feel grounded. If a man is chronically reactive, directionless, resentful, or passive, the relationship begins to feel heavy. But when he is centered, purposeful, and composed, he becomes easier to trust, easier to admire, and often easier to desire. Presence is equally important. Many men are physically available but psychologically absent. They are in the room, but their attention is elsewhere. Phone in hand, mind distracted, energy dulled. Then they wonder why intimacy feels flat. Desire feeds on attention. To feel deeply wanted, most people need to feel deeply seen. Presence means when she speaks, you are there. When you touch, you are there. When you listen, you are there. When you share a meal, a conversation, a moment of silence, you are not split into 5 directions. In a distracted world, full attention has become rare. Rare things become valuable. Then there is partnership. This may be the most underestimated form of attraction in long-term relationships. Partnership means reliability, contribution, emotional maturity, shared responsibility. It means you are not another problem she must manage. You are an ally. Many men separate attraction from everyday conduct. They think desire lives only in romance, appearance, or technique. But in lasting relationships, attraction often grows from respect. And respect is built through patterns. Do you keep your word? Do you handle responsibilities? Do you make life smoother or more chaotic? Do you lead when needed and cooperate when needed? These are not boring domestic details. They are signals of character. Character has erotic value because it creates trust. Trust allows relaxation. Relaxation allows openness. Openness allows desire. Now let us be honest about something else. Self-neglect weakens attraction. If a man abandons his health, ambition, discipline, or self-respect after entering a relationship, he often expects love to compensate for decline. But love and attraction are related, not identical. Many women continue loving men they no longer feel energized by, so take care of your body. Not from vanity, but vitality. Strength, health, posture, energy, and self-command matter. Pursue meaningful goals. A man moving towards something often carries a different energy than a man merely drifting. Growth is magnetic because it signals life. However, there is a trap here. Improvement must be authentic, not theatrical. If every change is a tactic to get her to want me, she will feel the performance. True confidence is built for its own sake. Real purpose is not manipulation. It is identity. Also understand that leadership in a relationship is not control. It is initiative, clarity, steadiness, and responsibility. Sometimes that means planning the date. Sometimes it means staying calm during conflict. Sometimes it means apologizing first. Leadership serves the relationship rather than dominating it. There is a philosophical truth beneath all of this. Desire often follows admiration. We are naturally drawn to people whose lives express order, depth, and vitality. When someone respects themselves, it becomes easier for others to respect them too. So if intimacy has gone quiet, do not only ask what she is failing to do. Ask what energy you are bringing. Ask whether familiarity has become complacency. Ask whether your presence uplifts the room or drains it. The most attractive man in a long-term relationship is rarely the loudest or most dramatic. He is the one who remains solid, alive, attentive, and growing. Become a man worth wanting, and desire often stops needing to be chased. At the center of this entire conversation is one final truth. The real goal is not getting her to initiate sex. The real goal is creating a relationship where desire moves naturally in both directions. That distinction matters because one mindset is rooted in control, while the other is rooted in connection. Many people enter relationships carrying a subtle transactional mentality. If I do the right things, say the right words, improve myself enough, then I should receive the response I want. This mindset appears practical, but it often poisons intimacy. Why? Because desire cannot be commanded like a machine. It is not a reward dispensed for correct behavior. It is a living response shaped by emotion, trust, energy, timing, biology, and meaning. When a man becomes obsessed with how do I get her to initiate, he can unknowingly turn his partner into a problem to solve rather than a person to understand. He studies tactics instead of dynamics. He looks for tricks instead of truth. He seeks leverage instead of depth. And even if some tactic works temporarily, it rarely creates lasting intimacy because it treats symptoms while ignoring causes. Mutual desire is different. Mutual desire emerges when two people feel safe, respected, energized, and emotionally connected. It appears when both individuals feel chosen rather than managed. It grows when each person experiences the relationship as a place of vitality instead of pressure. This means the question must evolve. Instead of asking, how do I make her initiate? Ask, what kind of relationship are we creating together? That single shift moves you from manipulation to leadership. Leadership in love does not mean dominance. It means responsibility for the energy you bring. It means becoming honest enough to examine patterns. Are conflicts unresolved? Is stress overwhelming the household? Has complacency replaced curiosity? Has routine replaced playfulness? Have both people become roommates managing logistics instead of lovers creating connection? These are not small questions. They are foundational. Because desire often fades gradually, not dramatically. It dies by neglect more than catastrophe. 1,000 missed moments. 1,000 distracted evenings. 1,000 times assuming love will maintain itself without intention. So what restores mutual desire? First, conversation rooted in truth, not accusation, not scorekeeping, not shame. Honest dialogue. I miss us. I want us to feel close again. What helps you feel connected? What has changed for you? Mature couples talk about intimacy not as enemies debating blame, but as partners solving a shared challenge. Second, shared responsibility. If one person carries the emotional load, domestic load, or relational load, imbalance grows. Desire struggles where resentment accumulates. Equality does not mean identical roles, it means mutual investment. Third, novelty and aliveness. Human beings adapt quickly. What was once exciting becomes normal if left unattended. Shared experiences, laughter, travel, challenge, learning, flirting, creativity, these reawaken energy. Sometimes couples do not need more technique, they need more life. Fourth, individual wholeness. No relationship can permanently compensate for two people who have abandoned themselves. Each person must remain connected to growth, purpose, health, identity, and self-respect. Two half-empty people cannot create sustained abundance together. And here is an uncomfortable but liberating truth. Sometimes the lack of desire is not a bedroom issue at all. It is a relational mirror. It reflects where connection has weakened, where truth has been avoided, where energy has stagnated. If you read the mirror wisely, it becomes guidance rather than punishment. Now understand this clearly. Mutual desire does not mean both people want intimacy in identical ways or at identical times. Real relationships involve seasons, fluctuations, stress, healing, and changing rhythms. The goal is not perfect symmetry. The goal is ongoing goodwill, openness, and effort from both sides. When that exists, initiation becomes less important as a symbol. Why? Because both people feel wanted in many ways. Through touch, attention, care, playfulness, admiration, responsiveness. Sex then becomes an expression of connection, not just the sole proof of it. So if you want passion, stop chasing a specific performance and start building a deeper partnership. Stop asking only how to be desired and ask how to create desire together, because the strongest relationships are not built by one person pulling intimacy out of the other. They are built by two people generating it from within.